Hello, sweet people. My YouTube friend, how are you today? Oh, did not realize my... Turn off. Okay, guys. Car not responding. Hi. My name is Heather Sweetman. If you are new around here, welcome. If you have been here before, I am so glad you are back. If you haven't been around here, you might be wondering why I am in my car. I am a special needs mom who makes YouTube videos in her car. That's right. Because when I became a special needs mom, I found a lot of helpful information about my child's diagnosis. I did not find any information via YouTube about just the reality of being a special needs parent and the challenges that you face and the emotional things you have to process. Sorry, gotta put my hands on the wheel. Guys, so I just had my very first filling. This side of my face is completely numb, so I'm very sorry. It's like I'm having to really concentrate on my mouth. Anyway, I'm here on YouTube to provide content that I was actually looking for as a special needs parent starting out. So, today I want to talk about burnout. I want to talk about caregiver burnout and 3 ways to avoid it, or not avoid it. I don't know. Well, you can avoid it, maybe. 3 ways to... Hold on, let me, you guys. 3 ways to get out of it, change it, hopefully not happen in the future. Those are the things. So, I want to talk about my personal experience first, and then towards the end, I'm going to give 3 steps to kind of work your way out of it. It is not a linear process, guys. There's not a 10-step program to get out of burnout, but there are some things I have learned about caregiver burnout. Also, I just want to apologize for the bumpiness of these videos. Chicago is not known for its well-paved roads. Let's just say that, okay? My personal experience, it was when my youngest, Finley, my youngest, she has quadriplegia spastic cerebral palsy. They're not exactly sure. She did not have a birth injury. She did have something show up on an ultrasound when she was about 20 weeks that can be a marker for special needs. So they believe she may have had a stroke in the womb. We're not sure, but she has CP. She's in a wheelchair full time. She has various devices to help her stand and attempt to walk. She can't really walk on her own though. She uses a talker to talk, although she is very vocal. She can say mama, yeah, yay, She thinks she can say all kinds of words. She attempts to talk in sentences to me. And I love to tell her that I'll tell her, Finley, I know mama tries to understand everything that you're saying, but I just want you to know Jesus knows everything that you're saying, and you can talk to him about everything. So anyway, but I reached burnout about the time she was 5 years old, and that was a really big wake-up call for me. And I just remember this moment where I came across a website. I don't even think I was searching for it, but I came across this a website that gave a bunch of symptoms for caregiver burnout, and they are depression, anxiety, avoiding others, being irritable or resentful, neglecting personal needs, lacking energy, neglecting physical, mental, or emotional health, loss of interest in hobbies, often sick, and difficulty sleeping. And I had basically 9 out of 10 of those symptoms. And the only one I didn't have was getting sick often, because I have a crazy immune system, I guess. I don't know. I never, ever, ever get sick. So that really raised some red flags for me. You know what? I don't remember how. I'm now remembering I hit a really dark point in my life. I was actually having suicidal thoughts. I was not trying to attempt it, and I was telling friends about it. So we cannot control the thoughts that come into our brain. We are responsible for what we do with them. So I was having these very dark thoughts come into my brain. I was talking to my husband about them. He was reaching out to other people for wisdom and guidance. So we had a community around us, but that was a big warning flag for me. There were multiple things along the way that should have been a warning flag before I got to the point of thinking, like having these super dark thoughts come into my brain. So it was a really scary time. I'm the type of person who I love to help others. I have a hard time knowing that I need help. I wouldn't say, oh, I don't need help. I just don't realize that I need help. And then if I do realize I need help, or if someone's like, Heather, you should let other people help you with that, I don't know what to tell them I don't know what to say. This is how you can help me. I have a problem. I have a problem with knowing what I need, and I've been working on that. I mean, my daughter's 10 now, so it was around the age of 5, maybe slightly before that. There was some of that stuff I was beginning to recognize, learning to ask questions to people in my life who do know what they need. So I would say to them, okay, what would you need if you were me? Because I don't know. I had 4 kids at the time Finley was born, and we were going through all of her initial diagnosis stuff. My oldest was 6, so there were 6, 5, 2, and a newborn. And I just, I'm just kind of like, put your head down and do what you need to do, and just have a really hard time recognizing that I need help. So maybe you relate to that, maybe you don't, but I would say the first step, so the 3 things that you can do, I think the first one is just to recognize the signs and really be honest with yourself, okay? So I'm going to go through this list again. I would say if you relate to 6 out of the 10, that could be enough to at least make you aware I might need to make some changes. So depression, anxiety, avoiding others, feeling irritable or resentful, neglecting your personal needs, lacking energy, neglecting physical, mental, and emotional health, a loss of interest in hobbies, often sick, and then difficulty sleeping. And, I recognize that some of these are just a given with parenting, especially in the little years. So you have to weigh, okay, what is, this person has double parked badly. Okay, we will be patient. We'll be patient. Some of it is recognizing, okay, what is normal and what is not normal. It is helpful. So if you have already had children and, your younger one is the one with special needs, then you might have something to compare it to as far as how you were with your previous children, how you were feeling at this stage in the game. And, also there's postpartum depression. That is a very real thing. I definitely struggled with that especially after my 3rd baby. Just the adjustment to 3 kids. 2 was okay. 3, living in the city and not having a hand to hold for each child was terrifying to me, and they were all 3 and under, so I needed a hand for each baby. And thank the Lord for very extravagant stroller systems. Oh, very grateful for that. That stuff was not around when my mom was a mom of littles. So first step is recognizing the signs and really being honest. It takes a quick Google search to look these signs up. There's different websites. Some are 7 signs, some are 10. I think all the ones I've seen are 10 or under, but just do some research and really do take a minute for yourself. And if you're not sure, you can ask your spouse, as long as that, your spouse, a close friend, to just help you assess, okay, where am I at? And then the next thing would be, which is really, really hard for me, it's hard to assess where you are, and then it's also the second one. The second one is simply ask for help. And maybe you are a person who really knows what you need, and maybe asking for help isn't hard for you. Or maybe you're like me and you just aren't sure where to ask for help, or you feel an immense sense of guilt. I would really feel guilty for asking people for help. I think one of the things I'm working on is, one of my tendencies is I feel like in order to ask you for help, I need to have done something for you first. So if I haven't done something for you in a while, then I don't have room to ask you for help. And that's just not true. I mean, the people who need our help the most are often the people who can't give little help themselves, or maybe the way that they can help is very unconventional. So, and the other challenge with asking for help is what your community is like. So fortunately for me, I am a part of a church community that is very supportive. I do not live around family, which I think, to be honest, having a severe special needs child and not living around family has been a massive challenge, and one that I'm not sure I would do outside of the calling of God. We know that God has called us to Chicago, and for about 3 years, my husband and I were praying, God, and this was in the early years of Finley's life, because we were looking for a home to live in, and we couldn't find anything in our price range that would be suitable for Finley, and all these things. So we were just like, okay, God, are you calling us away from Chicago? Because you're obviously not calling us away from our daughter. She is, one of our number one priorities and given to us by him, and we want to be faithful to her. And part of being faithful to her is providing a safe home for her. So, but we never had a peace about leaving. And maybe we don't think right about this, but one of the things we feel strongly is if God calls you into something, that he will clearly call you out of that. So we didn't want to just leave Chicago out of a place of fear of like, oh my gosh, we don't know how we're going to do this, so let's just leave where, to be near family. Now, I do want to say, if you are that person who has been called to something and you have just left because life circumstances have gotten so difficult, no judgment here. I think God gives us the freedom to choose to stop, and there's complete grace and understanding in that. Just where we are at, where our family was at, we just did not feel a peace about leaving. And God was continually providing monetarily. And one of the things my dad as growing up, he was a pastor, and now he oversees some churches. And anyway, he would always say, like, you always know what God, one of the ways you can tell where God wants you is how he's providing. And despite the financial circumstance, the financial difficulties that a disability brings, or the just the expense of living in a major city, God has miraculously provided over and over again. So that was a really long way of saying we don't live around family. However, if you are a special needs family, I think it is completely legitimate to move to family if they're going to be helpful. I know not all families are helpful. But for those who are, I have yet to meet a family with a person in their family with a severe disability that does not live close to family, or who did for a time but then moved. So if you have a helpful family, that can be a huge source of support. But you're going to need to be honest with them with where you're at. And if you don't have that, I would say lean on your church community. And if you don't have a church community, I would say find one. If you're in your area, it is hard to find a church with a special needs ministry. In all of the city of Chicago, there is one that has a special needs ministry. There's some more in the suburbs, but as far as the actual city is concerned, it's the Moody Church, which is downtown. They are the only church in Chicago that has a specific special needs ministry. If you can find that in your area, I would encourage you, and you don't already have a church family, I would say check it out and get plugged in. Other sources of help and encouragement are Facebook groups. I have found a lot of encouragement from Facebook groups in the Chicago area just CP Facebook groups. Very encouraging. And oftentimes they will have resources for respite care, programs that are out there, maybe through the city or just through private entities that offer respite care for full-time caregivers or even part-time caregivers. So that would be another resource to look into for asking for help. And I know that these first two are not easy to recognize and to ask for help. Very, very hard. I want to encourage you for your sake, and actually for the sake of your child. I know you love and adore that child that God has given you, and every parent needs to take care of themselves. Taking care of ourselves helps for us to better take care of our children. And it's even more true. Well, it's always true, but it's even, holds a heavier weight for special needs parents, because there is such a demand for your attention and your help. And oftentimes it's every hour, it's through the night. So I want to encourage you. It's so hard to take care of yourself, but you feel guilty, right? You can feel like, my kid needs me. But you taking some time for yourself is only going to multiply your energy for your child and for your children and for your spouse and for your friendships. So it's important to take that time to rest, if you are a follower of Jesus, to spend time with Jesus, to get refreshed in his word. So I would just say, if you are a parent or a special needs parent and there is something that gives you life in the midst of parenting and taking care of yourself while taking care of other people, would you just put that in the comments down below? We can share and encourage each other right here and brainstorm ideas right here on this channel. And I would love that if you would do that. Also, just to take a short break, if you have made it this far in the video, thank you so much. Would you hit the like button and also subscribe if you're not subscribed? That tells YouTube that this is helpful content, and it will promote it to other people who will find it encouraging. And if you want to, you can share it. That even boosts it even more. So thank you so much for being here and sticking with me this long. My third tip for kind of working through burnout is to plan for the future. Let me go back to asking for help. I just want to share, I was like severely burnt out when I burnt out. So what it looked like for me was my mom actually came to Chicago for 2 weeks, and my husband was able to rearrange his work schedule where he had more availability. And my mom and my husband basically took care of Finley for 2 weeks. And a part of that 2 weeks, I think for 4 days, my husband and I were able to go to a Christian leadership conference called It's through Confluence Churches. So wonderful group of churches. If you want to look them up, they are incredible. We've been a part of their family for a very long time. I actually grew up in this family of churches. Side note. So went to that, and then after that conference, I went to my parents' house for a week, 2 weeks. I think it was 2 weeks. So my husband really stepped up, and I know not everyone is in that situation. If you are, I would say please do that as the main caretaker. I had so much guilt initially about leaving my kids for that long, but I'm so grateful that I did, because it got me a ton of rest. And all I did was sleep, read my Bible, read fun novels, go for walks, watch good movies. I mean, I just did a lot of sleeping is the main thing I did. Because sleep, anybody who is sleep deprived, which I was, Finley was not sleeping through the night, and it was year 5. I was getting up multiple times a night with her, which I know is a lot of special needs parents experience. Just sleeping alone can help you so much with your mental clarity, your energy, your focus, your mood. Sleeping is a spiritual blessing. So I want to add that is part of like the plan of asking for help and making a plan for the future. So I had that initial break. It was about a month, which I know not everyone can do, but what can you do? That's what I want you to really leave here with today. And then we made a plan for the future. So my husband said, okay, I want you to have at least a 3-day break every quarter, or more if you need it, but at least a quarter. He's like, I don't want you to get to the point where you're at this point anymore. Like, we just need to schedule these in. And financially, that seemed really hard, but we were able to, if you're good with credit cards, I don't want to promote credit cards because I know they can be a real slippery slope for some people. If you are good with credit cards, for us, we used points to cover hotel stays. And there were some times of the year it was just insanely expensive, where maybe I could just do one night, but oftentimes I was going 2 nights, so 3 days total, 2 nights, and that would just give me the boost that I needed. And through that process, I gained the self-recognition, is that the word I'm looking for? The self-awareness is what I'm looking for, to recognize when I was needing a break. So, and then also the boldness to say, hey, I need a break. Because my husband's all like, if I need a break, he's like, you get a break. But I deal with all the feelings, all the mom feels about, I shouldn't need a break. So mom guilt is such a strong thing, guys. So we need to recognize that mom guilt often keeps us from actually being the mom that we want to be. So this is where I go back to saying, be the mom friend to yourself that you are to your girlfriend. The advice that you would give her, you're not going to tell her you don't need a break, or you should feel bad about leaving your kids. You're never going to say that to your girlfriend, right? You're going to say, yes, you need a break. You deserve a break. You're going to be a better mom if you have a break. You're going to be a better friend, a better spouse to take that break. So that is planning for the future. And I know for us, it has not been a consistent thing. We have periods of consistency. Seasons of life are insane. So, but just coming back to it, being self-aware when you're getting irritable, when you're pulling away from people, when you're dealing with more depression and anxiety, let those be your warning flag. I need to go take a day. And sometimes you can't take a day. Take a walk around the block. Go out with a friend, laugh. It might not be that you can take these long things, but doing things that are going to rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul so that you can then come and serve this incredible person that God has blessed you with. So that's all. That's all I'm going to say about that. If you have other questions or comments, please throw those in the comment box below. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time. All right, bye guys.